the problem. What happened was, just to go back to the details, is that Pakistan gave Iran somewhere between 600 and 900 centrifuges from its nuclear program. These are called P1s. They're
Yes.
about as big as you or I are, and they spin gas. This is the centrifuge part of the enriching of the uranium. And the Iranians hadn't produced any of their own at that point in time. But they got the 600 to 900 centrifuges. And then right away, they started to take them apart, not just use them, but study them, take them apart. And Iran, it's not as rich as the United States. It wasn't as capable at the time as Pakistan, but Iran is not a poor country. It's not Afghanistan. So we need to understand where Iran is in the general wealth
Right.
of countries. So it then started to produce its own centrifuges. We didn't know where they were. They're called P2. So if your
Motors.
listeners are Googling, they might have to do the Wayback Machine, but this was all public knowledge. Nothing classified I'm giving you here. So
So basically, P1 is the older version. P2, the one Iran then manufactured, homemade, whatever you call it. They were way more advanced.
this is why those military options you're describing, like, well, can't we just bomb some of the throughput here? Or there's a smuggler over there, let's go kill that group and that person. Well, you could. No, you could definitely kill the people. But it became evident right away that that's not even slowing down the program in this way, because you don't know the full details, because you hadn't at that point had thousands of Mossad agents and thousands of CIA, or hundreds, I guess I would say,
Yes.
sort of percolating here. Because again, what happened in 2002 was we went from having an antagonistic political relationship with Iran. Now it's a military negative relationship here. Well, that brings on a lot more commitment, a lot more, and Iran was ahead. So Iran was able to keep going, keep developing, and it just never, the Bush administration kept looking for the, I don't know if it's every few months, but quite often, to see, was there a military scenario that would nip all this in the bud? And the problem is that it wasn't exactly, it's not they didn't want to, it's that by the time they knew it was a real thing, let's say 2002, Iran was already so far ahead that even the Bush administration, remember, the Bush administration conquered Iraq. Even they realized that they didn't have a good military option unless they would first conquer Iraq, then they were going to do regime change. And I do believe they thought they could take 6 divisions and go to Tehran. So, but this was the actual, and everybody, you've heard Vice President Vance say, "Oh, we'll never think about ground option." Here we are with ground options. You hear Secretary of State Rubio say, "Oh, no, we don't need, it's all unnecessary." I would just not pay attention to this rhetoric. This rhetoric is not meant to be signaling our true military intent. To the extent that it has meaning at all, it's for domestic political consumption or international political consumption. It is not meant as a signal of our true ideas that are going on behind, sort of under the radar. And I would just note that even if they did represent that a month ago, all that has turned out to not be reality. The reality is what I'm explaining. This is the pull of reality is more important than this rhetoric of a month ago. They're not trapped by their rhetoric. They
Yes.
evolve. They spin.
Yep.
This is they're black belts at PR and spin. That's what they do. I focus on the
Well, I mean,
strategy.
of course, it is quite evident that Iran got its centrifuges, the P1 from Pakistan. From that point onward, they did not look back. They advanced their uranium enrichment using way more advanced centrifuges. And now they're at a point where they can, if they want to make a nuclear bomb, they can do so. But here's the thing. They said, we will never make one nuclear bomb. And if they wanted to, as I said, they could have done it like years ago, but they didn't do it. Why then Israel and United States did not trust Iran? that is why we have this big unstable war and political geopolitical situation in the Middle East, because there was never a trust by Israeli government. It is not the United States government, because Bush himself did not want to take out Iran's nuclear program or change the regime. Then Obama, when he was lobbied by Zionist Israel, he said, no, I'm not going to go to war with Iran, until we have Trump and the Zionists had their hand on the right man and tapped him to attack Iran. So this is right now a disaster, military disaster, because Iran has advanced not just its nuclear program, where they're at a point where they can easily make one, even though they will never make, as they said, but also they have a big military, a huge, very powerful, strong military that Donald Trump underestimated for sure.
Escalation dynamics in particular is what I have focused on in all my work: air power, economic sanctions, terrorism. It's always been about the interaction of force and politics, or escalation dynamics. Now,
Unbelievable stuff. Professor Robert Pape from Chicago University laid it out very clearly, and I mean, we are never going to learn from our mistakes. We're never going to learn from history. It's just going to repeat itself. Subscribe for more videos, guys. See you in the next one.